I pushed the plate of spaghetti away. It had been over-seasoned, so I did not find it so palatable. "Stop! Stop!" our choir master snapped. "Why aren't you singing in harmony?" Instantly, the discordant melody drew to a halt and we cast our faces to the ground in embarrassment. As it was fresh out of the oven, the roasted chicken emitted an aromatic smell. Immediately, my mouth watered. Jenna could not hide her look of disgust. The cupboard had not been cleaned for a long time, so every inch of the wood was grimy. Chinese New Year is my favorite holiday of the year. Not only do I get red packets from my relatives, but my parents would also let me indulge in savory bakwa. I was almost deafened when my neighbor began singing karaoke at the top of his voice in the dead of the night. Even my largest earplugs failed to block out the sound. For someone used to getting chauffeured around, walking home in the blistering heat was pure torture. The perspiration trickling from my forehead was stinging my eyes. By the time I got home, my uniform was soaked in perspiration and clinging to me like a second skin. A gentle wind swept through the trees and a whispering sound filled the air. It was almost as if the trees were exchanging secrets. One of my favorite presents from my father is the watch he gave me on my 25th birthday. The metal rim has precious stones embedded in it, and I love the leathery smell of the strap. Nicknamed the king of fruits, the durian has a smell that can cause some to wrinkle their noses or even to faint. But while many foreigners have likened its smell to that of sewage, the durian is revered by many locals. Durian aficionados rave about its bittersweet flavor and buttery texture, which make it a delicacy to be savored. My Italian father is one of the most hirsute men I have ever met. His arms feel almost furry. My mother is a businesswoman, and as such, she often has to go on overseas trips. When I was just a child, I used to miss her so badly that I would cry. I would cuddle up next to mother's pillow because the familiar scent of her lavender perfume made it feel like she was just right next to me. There was a peculiar musty smell in the air that I could not quite put my finger on. It reminded me of the old bookstore down the street. Because I had lost a dare, my brother prepared the most foul-smelling food for me to eat as a penalty, the surströmming. The rancid stink of the fish made me nauseous. Surströmming, this fermented fish, is said to smell even worse than rotten eggs. Saliva pooled in my mouth as I gazed at my plate of roti prata, an Indian flatbread. What a thing of beauty! Stacked atop one another, each round of doughy goodness was crispy, flaky, and freckled with char, just the way I liked it. No amount of makeup could mask my acne-ridden skin. While other girls in school had flawless porcelain complexions, my acne flare-ups have left me with ugly, pockmarked skin. I hated even looking in the mirror. Whenever I have a sore throat, I would have a spoonful of honey. It has an antibacterial effect and I love the syrupy flavor. My face scrunched up as soon as I bit into the lemon cake. The tart flavor was too strong and I wished I had something sweet instead. It hurts, Mom. Kenneth wailed. Calm down, his mother replied. Let's put some aloe vera on the burn. Almost instantly, the soothing gel sapped away some of his pain. Jason, my table mate, has the annoying habit of pressing the button at the back of his pen whenever he is thinking. The incessant clicking sound would sometimes drive me up the wall. As someone who grew up drinking Milo, made by my grandmother, I have come to detest any Milo that is made with excessive amounts of condensed milk. Grandma's Milo tastes chocolatey, just the way I like it. The school's canteen vendor, however, pours so much condensed milk that the beverage becomes cloyingly sweet. It is no different from drinking concentrated syrup. I could not wait to chomp down on the new Carl's Jr.'s burger. The thick beef patty was succulent, grilled to perfection, and looked just like the advertisements had promised. What is going on here? Mr. Ben bellowed. Bring the volume down now. How can the class next door concentrate on their test when all of you are so raucous? My cooking teacher, Mrs. Slim, sighed and said, "You did not wash the vegetables properly, so there are bits of soil. It's no wonder the texture is so grainy." Of all the stores along Orchard Road, Abercrombie & Fitch's flagship store takes the cake for being a sensory overload. The store's signature cologne is sprayed so liberally in the air that it results in an assault on one's olfactory senses. Customers are inundated by the musky scent of the cologne from the moment they step in. This, along with the store's dim lighting and the booming bass in the background, makes for an entirely unpleasant shopping experience, at least in my humble opinion. The taste of home, to me, resides in my mother's humble soup dumplings. Instead of puncturing the dumpling on a soup spoon, I always pop the entire plump bundle of goodness into my mouth. As I chomp down, the dumpling bursts in my mouth and the steaming, savory broth squirts out satisfyingly. To be sure, this method tempts fate, for occasionally it results in scalding your tongue. But I believe this is a risk worth taking. I stroll along the beach, wondering if anyone else found the humming of the waves as hypnotic as I did. The steady ebb and flow of the tide soothed me like a lullaby would. Lying in the hospital bed, my grandma looked so frail. Bluish-green veins bulged beneath her wrinkled, paper-thin skin that was of a deathly pallor. I held her bony hand in mine and prayed that she would pull through. The rain has stopped. I'm heading out now, Dad. I call out, skipping out the front gate. I love how the pavements are glistening and clean after a shower. Beads of raindrops fall off the leaves, hitting my skin like champagne bubbles. With every breath, I delight in the earthy notes of petrichor in the air. How invigorating! Petrichor, the unique, earthy smell associated with rainfall. It is generally described as the smell of rain. This is the best answer. My father's alcoholism began spiraling out of control after he lost his job. Instead of job hunting, he would spend his time at pubs or coffee shops, smoking and drinking with his friends. Intoxicated, he would stumble home past midnight, with breath that reeked of cheap beer and cigarettes. There was a full moon that night. With hands shoved deep into my warm pockets, I hurried along the alley. It was deafeningly silent, save for the chirping of a lone cricket and the sighing of the bitterly cold wind. Having paid through the nose for a premium gym membership, I was expecting not only the latest fitness equipment, but also a high standard of hygiene. Imagine my disappointment when I entered the locker room only to be assailed by the rancid odor of unwashed gym socks. The policeman seated across me scowled as I squirmed. Just sitting in the interrogation room was enough to make me regret my misdeeds. The walls were a hideous color, a pale greenish yellow that reminded me of vomit. Bathed in the harsh lighting from fluorescent tubes overhead, I felt like a specimen under a microscope. It was my first time at a Bangkok night market. What an experience! I was instantly overwhelmed by the cacophony of honking cars, revving tuk-tuks, blaring disco music, and over-enthusiastic touts hawking their wares in shrill voices. Cacophony, harsh, unpleasant mixture of loud sounds. Wham! My fist landed on Mike's cheek, and I could hear a sickening crack as his neck snapped backwards. In a fit of pique, I must have used too much force. The chilly night air made gooseflesh break out all over my arms. I rubbed the pebbly surface of my skin vigorously, hoping to warm my arms up. I dug my feet into the velvety sand of the beach. It felt almost like I was standing on a thick carpet. How wonderfully soft! I had waited for 30 minutes to get a taste of this chef's signature egg fried rice. But this was an altogether underwhelming experience. The rice grains were uncooked and underseasoned. There was a lack of wok hei, or what is known as the breath of the wok, and the bits of crab meat on top were bland like cardboard. Even a generous helping of salt and pepper could not salvage this dish. Shopping with my parents is always a bore until we hit the basement levels, for this is where the food courts and a bevy of restaurants reside. At the basement levels, the tantalizing aromas of international cuisines mingle in the air. Of all the aromas, nothing whets my appetite more than the piquant notes of sambal belacan, a spicy condiment which has such a pervading sharpness that it makes your eyes water.